After a day trip from Bosnia that was far too long, we've finally made it to Split. We're really excited to explore the rich history of the city after being south in Dubrovnik and Korčula, and now making our way further north in Dalmatia to the city of Split. The city of Split is a popular tourist attraction for a lot of different reasons. The Diocletian Palace right behind me, probably one of the most noteworthy landmarks. But today, we're gonna actually show you a different side of Split. We're gonna be exploring the cuisine. We've spent almost 2 weeks here in the Balkan region and we've tried a few of the different cuisines, but it really varies on region to region. Especially in the country of Croatia, if you're more inland, you're gonna have a lot of heartier meat roasts. We tried the strukli in Zagreb, which is fantastic. But here on the coast, it's a little more geared towards the seafood. There's a lot of delicious seafood, especially being close to the water. So today we're gonna show you everything you have to try if you're here in Split.
Oh my gosh, the city center is sprawling with people. We counted at least 3 cruise ships in port.
All of these walking tours, it's just like they clog up the entire little narrow street.
It's like a Congo line and you can't pass.
So before we immerse ourselves in all of the delicious seafood today, I know that Sydney's only going to be on her A game if she gets a flat white. So we're going to go find it at D16 Coffee. Fantastic coffee at D16. Can't recommend it enough. They make all of their stuff in-house. Their cold brew is awesome. They also had all of this great artwork on the wall, and they included that artwork not only on the can where they sold the cold brew, but also on the little coffee mugs. So very, very cool place. And Sydney is much happier than she was before her flat white, so I'm happy about that too. We are gonna dig into a lot of seafood today, but it's not quite time for that yet. We're still just a little bit after breakfast. The great thing about Croatia is there are really good bakeries here, and the bakeries serve all sorts of stuff. They serve ham and cheese croissants, they serve sweet pastries, our personal favorite burik, which we're not going to be getting today. It's a little too heavy for all the food we're going to be eating. Right now we're going to go just check out what they have, maybe get a croissant. If you're looking for a bakery here in Croatia, just look for the word pekara. Can we have one croissant?
Normal. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Another popular thing to have for breakfast here in Croatia is fruit. All over the country there are fruit trees everywhere. We've got limes growing on trees, grapes growing on vines. We've even seen kiwis, which is just so exotic to us. But there's one fruit here that neither of us have tried, and it is a staple here in Croatia. So we're stopping at Green Market to find our special fruit. It looks like they're just wrapping up for the day, so hopefully we can snag some last ones. Thank you.
Thank you.
These are figs. I hate to say I've never tried a fig, but of course if you're American, you know what fig Newtons are. Well, this is the fruit that's supposedly inside the little cookie. These are so squishy. I don't even know how to describe the feeling of these. It's like a squishy, slimy ball, but it's September and they are in season right now, so I cannot wait to taste a fig in Croatia. Look how cute it is. It's earthy, but it's so sweet and so refreshing. And the colors are just unbelievable. That is amazing. First fig in Croatia.
All of these fresh figs. You know how much this cost us? 20 kuna. So when we were walking around Dolac Market in Zagreb, we heard that in the summer they have bees everywhere. Like bees are just swarming the fruit. Even though that sounds kind of scary, that's a good sign that the fruit is fresh and there's really no pesticides used. So I don't know if there's a proper way to eat a fig, and I'm also still not sure if we should eat the skin, but Sydney's just going for it.
I eat skin on everything.
It's probably,
apples, kiwis. It's good for you.
It's probably good fiber, right? You eat kiwi skin?
Mm-hmm. Comment down below if you eat kiwi skin. We're filling up on these figs right now. We have to save some room for later. So we both haven't had fig Newtons in years. Literally couldn't tell you the last time I had one. So we can't really tell you if it tastes like figs. I don't know. All I can say is figs, really, really good.
I think one feature I do remember from fig Newtons is, you know, the crunchy seed feeling that you had when you were eating the fig? I think I remember that like in fig Newtons a little bit.
Totally.
Welcome to Riva, which is the waterfront promenade here in Split, and where we're gonna try to find some seafood. Now, I don't know if we just got really lucky in Dubrovnik, but everyone says Dubrovnik's the really touristy place here in Croatia. There are hordes of tourists here in Split today that we're having to fight our way through, but hopefully later when the cruise ships leave, we'll have a little more to ourselves. See if we can find a seat and get some seafood. Tourism here in Croatia has had its negatives and its positives. Obviously, it's very good for these local economies with all of the money coming in from the tourists. But we have heard that this right here, with the waterfront promenade, this is where a lot of the locals used to have their morning coffee, just to kind of enjoy, you know, watching the ships come in and everything. But now because of the prices here, they're all touristic prices, so they've been raised. They just kind of stay more in their neighborhoods now, the locals do. So that's kind of an unfortunate part of it, but yeah, you can tell that this has been completely redone into like the place where people hang out if they're coming off a cruise. And then the cuttlefish risotto.
Okay. That's all?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Thank you. Our absolute favorite beer we've had in Croatia is Karlovačko. This is a local brew, and most places we've been to, this is cheaper than water. Keep in mind, we're on the waterfront. These are the tourist prices. These are the a little bit higher prices here in Split. This was 25 kuna, which is just over $3. You can find them for 10 kuna more in the city, which is just over $1. Pretty good deal for a pretty good beer. It's just a really refreshing lager. It's a lot like a Peroni in Italy, but there's something that's unique about it, and I think I actually prefer this one, I'm not gonna lie.
This is the fish soup, a Dalmatian delicacy, and it's basically rice with a fish broth. Kind of tastes like chicken broth, not gonna lie. Max, you're gonna like it. It's not fishy at all.
It's a good broth. It's nice and salty. It just doesn't really taste like fish to me. I don't know. So the rest of our feast here on the Dalmatian coast has arrived. We've got the cuttlefish risotto with black squid ink. And then we've got some fried squid that of course comes with some French fries. Can be really good with the lemon on top. This is a lot like the calamari we have back home. Nice, crispy, buttery, delicious. I love the lemon on top.
There's two types of squid. There's like calamari, the circular shape, which is very delicious. And then there's these little baby squids, which I think these are my favorite because they're very crunchy.
So it's time to try the main event, the cuttlefish risotto. We tried this when we were in Montenegro, and I was kind of thinking these were pieces of squid. Perhaps I was completely mistaken. And it's actually cuttlefish. Whoa. There's something a little different than the Montenegro one. Not really sure what it is. It's almost like it's more of a saltiness. The cuttlefish is so good. It's just so tender, so soft. And it really soaks up all of that squid ink, which that's the main flavor for sure. You can tell why they go for risotto and cuttlefish, because they really both allow the flavor of the squid ink to come through. That's awesome. Although we were very pleased with the Karlovačko beer as a pairing for that seafood, something that also would have been really good is a chilled white wine. And here in the Dalmatian coast, they drink something that's called potsip. I have no idea how to say it, to be honest with you. This particular grape is grown on the island of Korčula, and Korčula is like the capital of wine here in Croatia. They have some of the best wines. And when we were down in Korčula, we actually got to try like a wine tasting at a vineyard. And they did give us some potsip, which we liked a lot. It would have been great with the seafood. Also, a really good red wine that comes from this region is called Dingač, and that was our absolute favorite wine. So really good wine here in Croatia. I know everyone thinks about Italy when they think about good wine, but Croatia too, definitely the island of Korčula. You could spend an entire week there just trying all these different wines. So if you're not really into seafood, there is a Split delicacy that has no seafood involved that we are going to try. However, we are way too full to do that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Diocletian Palace and check it out, since it is the #1 attraction here in Split. Now, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Dubrovnik should actually be your first stop, but there was filming here in Split as well. If you're familiar with Daenerys' story when she comes to the slave town of Meereen, Meereen was actually filmed right here in Split, and we met a guy. He was actually our tour guide in Dubrovnik. He was in the show as one of the slaves, and there's a moment when there's a message on the wall that says, "Kill the masters." So he was part of that process. We also just noticed our first Sphinx. So there's a lot of these Sphinx sculptures around the city, and the legend goes you're not supposed to look them directly in the eye because they may ask you a riddle. And if you get that riddle wrong, you may die. So don't get it wrong. I think that's enough Old Town for us today. The Old Town is awesome and definitely worth checking out. But man, the tourists, it's crazy.
So crowded.
We are gonna go find a drink that apparently we have to try here. And this was Sydney's finding, so the name is quite funny. So I'm looking forward to telling you what the name is.
Hey, I just hope it tastes good.
As long as it tastes good, the name can be whatever, but it's a funny name, trust me.
It's called Pipi. Now, we have no idea what Pipi means. Maybe it's a girl, maybe it's the drink, but we immediately think of the color kind of makes us think of, well, Pipi. But we're gonna crack this open and see how it tastes. Oh, it's carbonated. Ooh, that's really nice. It definitely tastes like oranges. It's not as sweet as a Fanta or an Urn Brew in Scotland. It's more of like a sparkling water, a little bit more flavor, I'd say.
After just one afternoon, we do feel like we saw everything that Split has to offer within the city center and the promenade and all of that. So we walked a little bit out of the city center to Firula Beach, and this is actually a much nicer swimming beach. The water is a lot more clear. It reminds us a lot more of what we saw in Dubrovnik, and it's just a lot less crowded. It's a lot nicer. So we're glad that we came over here to kind of just see a different aspect of the coast, because what's great about Split is that there's so much coastline that you don't even really need to be in the city center. I think a lot of people stay there because it's a good place for day trips if you're going to Hvar or Korčula. It's just a good place to be stationed. But there's so much more around the area of Split that's actually a lot nicer, a lot more pristine, and definitely less people. Something to definitely be aware of if you're visiting Croatia is that they have their own currency, but this is only going to be until January 1st, 2023, when they're going to convert over to the euro. So right now Croatia uses the Croatian Kuna, and we have spent basically all 2 weeks trying to figure out the conversions in our head. So we finally figured out that 1 Croatian Kuna is equal to 13 cents USD, but it's still kind of hard when it gets to like 20, 25 Kunas, and if you see on a menu when it's like 150, 200 Kunas, that seems like it's so much money, but it's really not. 250 Croatian Kuna is equal to around $33 to $34 US, and that's actually pretty reasonable. If that ends up being your bill for a meal for two, 33, 34 bucks, you're not going to find that in most US cities. So Croatia is extremely affordable, but the conversion with the kuna is something you have to pay attention to at least until the end of the year. We actually have gotten the chance to talk to a few Croatians about the upcoming change to the euro, and actually a lot of Croatians are very nervous about it. They're still thinking about what happened with Greece. Of course, when Greece went from their native currency over to the euro, that was a big part of what kind of drove them into that economic crisis. And even though there is inflation basically worldwide right now, this is something where Croatia thinks it'll actually make the inflation worse when it goes to the euro rather than the kuna. It'll be interesting to see how it happens, and I was really curious about the process itself. Like, is it going to be immediate as soon as January 1st gets here? everyone's not going to accept Kuna anymore. I would imagine that's not the case. I would imagine that it's going to be more so a slower process. Everybody accepts Croatian Kuna right now, and on one day, everyone has to change. Also, when we were in Bosnia-Herzegovina and even in Montenegro, they did accept Croatian Kuna at a lot of places too. So this is going to affect the whole Balkan region, and it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. We have 2 more days here in Split, and that's going to be our last opportunity to use Kuna to pay for things ever. Because when we come back a couple years down the road, if that does happen, we're not going to be able to use it anymore. We're going to be using the euro. So it's just interesting to be here right during that transition period. I actually have some Kuna right now. I'll show you. That is a 200 Kuna, and 200 Kuna is just a little bit under $30. So this is basically like a $30 bill US. Let's see what else we got here. We got a 50, we got a 20, we got a 10. That's Croatian Kuna for you. It's really interesting because, you know, when you think about like a $10 bill US, that can easily buy you a meal at like a fast casual restaurant. But 10 Kuna is like $1. It's actually less than $1. It's just interesting how the conversion works, and you can definitely tell that a lot of people are nervous about this process. I think always people are nervous about change, and this is a big one. But this is just part of the process. Croatia is part of the European Union now, but they're actually not part of the Schengen area. The Schengen area just refers to the passport-free zone, where people are able to go from border to border without having to go through a customs process. I'm sure that within the next few years, Croatia will be part of the Schengen area, and we're kind of sad about that. For a long time, Croatia was a place where if you're running out of your 90 days that you can stay in the Schengen area, you could come to Croatia and reset those 90 days for as long as you stay in Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Montenegro, a few other countries that are still on that list, Romania, Bulgaria, but all of these countries eventually are going to be in the Schengen area too, and that's going to really change the shape of travel in Europe for non-European Union citizens.
So this marina by the promenade is not a place you want to go swimming. Plus, we've been here like 3 times, and every single time it smelled like rotten eggs.
Fantastic meal at Skalinada Seafood and Steak. It wasn't where we were planning on going originally, but it worked out perfectly. We just wanted to show you the pastinada. It was really good. The gnocchi was fantastic. We thought it was going to be with beef, which I think it usually is, but it was with a tuna steak, which was fantastic. Really good, tender, perfectly cooked tuna, and it really went well with the beef gravy, which I'm surprised. The gravy had almost like a sourness to it too, which I wasn't expecting. That's gonna be it for our day out in Split. Let us know if we missed any Croatian dishes. If there's something that we gotta try next time, put it in the comment section. Also, if there's anyone from Croatia watching, I'm really curious about what's gonna happen on January 1st, converting from Kuna to euros. If you have any more information about how that's gonna work, put that in the comment section as well. We have a big day planned tomorrow, very exciting, and we gotta go get some sleep. So, see you tomorrow.